Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly loved yourself? Not just tolerated, not just accepted, but loved yourself with the same intensity you crave from others. If you're waiting for someone else to validate you, let me tell you right now, you'll be waiting forever. Because the harsh truth is, no one will ever love you more than you love yourself. We live in a world that teaches us to seek approval, to be good enough, smart enough, attractive enough for others. But have you ever thought about being enough for yourself? Because when you love yourself, you stop begging for the love, attention, and validation of people who don't even know your worth. Self-love is not arrogance. It is not selfishness. It is power. It is knowing that you are worthy, not because someone else says so, but because you decide it for yourself. When you truly love yourself, you set standards. You refuse to settle. You stop chasing people who don't see your value. And most importantly, you start living for yourself rather than living as a puppet for others. But here's the dangerous part. When you don't love yourself, the world feels it. People sense your insecurities and they will use them against you. They will control you, manipulate you, and make you believe that you are less than you are. And worst of all, you will believe them. You see, when you love yourself, you become unstoppable. The opinions of others, they become whispers in the wind. The rejections, they no longer define you. The failures, they become lessons, not limitations. So I ask you today, will you finally choose yourself? Will you stop waiting for someone to love you the way you should be loving yourself? Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. You are the hero you've been waiting for. Wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and say, I am enough. I am powerful. I am worthy. Say it until your mind believes it. Say it until your heart feels it. Say it until your soul lives it. Love yourself more than anyone. Because the moment you do, the world will have no choice but to follow your lead. Self-love is your superpower. Let me ask you a question. When you walk into a room, what energy do you bring with you? Do you stand tall, knowing your worth, or do you shrink, waiting for others to tell you you're good enough? Because here's the truth that most people will never tell you. The way you love yourself sets the standard for how the world treats you. Read that again. Let it sink in. If you walk around with self-doubt, if you constantly question your own worth, if you beg for attention, if you wait for someone to choose you, guess what? The world will treat you accordingly. People will take you for granted. They will see you as an option, not a priority. They will love you only to the extent that you love yourself. But when you start treating yourself like you matter, when you start carrying yourself like you are enough, everything changes. Self-love is not just some feel-good concept. It is not just bubble baths, spa days, and positive affirmations in the mirror. No, self-love is power. Self-love is a weapon. It is the armor that protects you from settling for less. It is the fire that keeps you moving forward when the world tries to break you. It is the force that tells you, I will not lower my standards just to be accepted. And yet so many people walk around searching for love outside of themselves. They chase relationships, friendships, careers, and status, believing that if they can just get one more thing, they will finally feel worthy. But let me tell you something. Nothing outside of you will ever be enough if you don't believe you are enough first. You can be in a room full of people who admire you, but if you don't admire yourself, you will feel empty. You can be loved by the whole world, but if you don't love yourself, that love will never feel real. So let me say it again. Self-love is your superpower. It is your foundation. It is your shield. It is your guide. Because the moment you start valuing yourself, the world has no choice but to do the same. Why self-love determines your life's direction? Have you ever noticed how confident people move differently? How they don't wait for permission to be great? How they don't beg for anyone's approval? That's not because they were born with something special. It's because they decided to love themselves at a level most people never dare to reach. You see, when you love yourself, you stop settling. You stop tolerating toxic relationships. You stop saying yes when you really mean no. You stop allowing people to disrespect you. You stop making yourself small just to make others comfortable. Because self-love is knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less than what you deserve. And when you make that shift, when you start treating yourself like you matter, You don't just change your relationships, you change your entire life. You start walking with purpose. You start attracting people who respect you. You start setting goals that challenge you. You stop wasting time on people who don't see your value because you understand something most people don't. Your time, your energy, your love, they are priceless, and you will no longer give them away for free to those who don't appreciate them. The danger of seeking love before loving yourself. But what happens when you don't love yourself? What happens when you constantly look for others to fill the void inside you? You become a slave to their opinions. You start bending, twisting, and breaking yourself just to be accepted. You tolerate mistreatment. You allow people to disrespect you, hoping that if you just love them enough, they will finally see your worth. But here's the brutal truth. You cannot make someone love you more than you love yourself. And if you don't set the standard, they will set it for you. They will love you halfway. They will give you breadcrumbs. They will string you along. And you will accept it because deep down, you don't believe you deserve more. And that is the biggest tragedy of all. Not realizing your own power. Not recognizing that you were never meant to beg for love. You were never meant to settle for half-hearted affection. You were never meant to convince someone to see your worth. You were meant to stand tall, to love yourself so fiercely that when someone tries to offer you anything less than what you deserve, you don't hesitate to the shift, choosing yourself first. So here's what you need to do starting today. Choose yourself first. Choose yourself before you choose a relationship, before you choose friendships that drain you, before you say yes to things that don't serve you, before you let someone else's opinion define your value. Start speaking to yourself with kindness. Start setting boundaries without guilt. Start pursuing your dreams without waiting for someone to approve them. Start loving yourself so deeply that your presence alone commands respect. Because when you love yourself, you don't need validation. You are validation. You don't need someone to choose you. You choose yourself. You don't need permission to shine. You own your light. And when you do that, the world follows your lead. People start treating you with the respect you demand. Opportunities begin to find you because you are no longer doubting your own worth. The love you receive matches the love you give yourself. And suddenly, you are no longer chasing, you are attracting. That is the power of self-love. That is why it is your greatest strength. The final truth. You hold the key. So I leave you with this. What will you choose? Will you keep waiting for someone else to love you the way you should be loving yourself? Will you keep settling for less, hoping that one day someone will finally see your worth? Or will you take control? Will you decide right now that you are enough, that you are valuable, that you deserve the best, not because someone else says so, but because you say so? Because the moment you make that decision, your entire world shifts. The way you carry yourself shifts. The way people treat you shifts. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop playing small. Love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Neglecting self-love invites control. Let me ask you a question. Who really controls your life? Is it you, or is it the people around you? Is it your own decisions, or is it the opinions of others? Because here's the harsh truth. If you don't love yourself, the world will sense it, and people will use your insecurities to manipulate and control you. Read that again. Let it hit you. People don't control you with chains. They control you with doubt. They control you by making you question yourself, your worth, your abilities. They control you by feeding on your insecurities, making you feel small, powerless, and dependent on their approval. And the scariest part, you might not even realize it's happening. You might think you're just trying to please people, trying to be accepted, trying to do the right thing. But in reality, you are giving away your power. Look at the world around you. People who lack self-love are the easiest to manipulate. They are the easiest to silence. They are the easiest to control. Because when you don't know your worth, you seek validation from those who don't even value you. When you don't love yourself, you let others decide your worth for you. And let me tell you something. When you give that power away, most people will not use it to lift you up. They will use it to keep you beneath them. How the world senses your insecurities. You think people don't notice your lack of self-love? They do. They notice it in the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you hesitate before you speak, the way you downplay your own achievements, the way you say sorry for things that don't even need an apology. They see it when you tolerate mistreatment. They see it when you let them cross boundaries without standing up for yourself. They see it when you stay in relationships that drain you, when you accept jobs that don't pay you what you're worth, when you settle for friendships that take more than they give. They see it. And those who want to control you, they love it. Because if you don't know your worth, they can tell you who you are. If you don't believe in yourself, they can make you believe anything. If you don't set boundaries, they can take advantage of you. If you don't love yourself, they can convince you that their half-hearted love is the best you'll ever get. And once they do that, you become trapped. You become dependent on their approval. You start needing their validation. You start living your life on their terms, not your own. You start making decisions based on what will make them happy instead of what will make you happy. And the more you give, the more they take. The more you lower your standards, the more they push your limits. The more you accept less than you deserve, the harder it becomes to break free. And this is where most people stay. They stay in the cycle. They stay controlled. They stay convinced that this is just how life is. But it's not. It's not the moment you recognize your worth you break free. The moment you decide enough is enough, the moment you realize that you don't need anyone's permission to be worthy, the moment you choose yourself, that's when everything changes. That's when the control ends. That's when you take your power back. Because the second you start loving yourself, the second you start setting boundaries, the second you start walking like someone who knows they deserve better, the people who once controlled you start losing their grip. They don't know what to do with someone who doesn't seek their approval. They don't know how to handle someone who no longer tolerates their manipulation. They don't know how to control someone who knows their worth. When you recognize your worth, you stop begging. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve an explanation. You stop justifying your decisions to people who don't respect you. You stop apologizing for being who you are. You stop chasing love, attention, and validation because you realize you don't need to chase anything that is meant for you. When you recognize your worth, you set boundaries, not because you're mean, not because you're selfish, but because you respect yourself enough to say, this is what I will accept, and this is what I won't. You no longer tolerate disrespect. You no longer let people walk all over you. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into places that were never meant for you. When you recognize your worth, you stop fearing loneliness. You stop clinging to toxic relationships just because you're afraid of being alone. You stop staying in places that drain your energy just because you're scared of what might happen if you leave. Because you finally understand that being alone is better than being surrounded by people who make you feel lonely. You understand that walking away from the wrong people makes space for the right ones. You understand that loving yourself is not just about feeling good, it's about protecting your peace, your time, your heart, and your future. How to take your power back. You take your power back by loving yourself so deeply that no one can ever convince you that you are anything less than extraordinary. You take your power back by speaking with confidence, by walking with purpose, by owning your worth even when the world tries to make you doubt it. You take your power back by choosing yourself every single day without hesitation, without guilt, without apology. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop overextending yourself for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. You stop shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. You stop tolerating one-sided relationships where you give everything and receive nothing. You stop waiting for people to choose you and start choosing yourself. And once you do this, once you step into your power, the entire dynamic changes. You are no longer controlled. You are no longer manipulated. You are no longer living for anyone but yourself. At the end of the day, no one is coming to save you, but that's the most powerful truth you'll ever embrace. You are the hero you've been waiting for. Stop seeking validation. Stop waiting for approval. Stop hoping someone else will recognize your worth. Own it, declare it, stand tall in your power. Love yourself so fiercely that the world has no choice but to follow your lead. Set boundaries. Walk away from what no longer serves you. Choose yourself unapologetically. Because the moment you do, everything changes. The world doesn't decide your worth. You do.